When I was young, I was in a rudimentary reading class when I was like 9 years old, and then I read Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and was just smitten. And I just couldn't believe you could make up a story, make up all that world. So after that, I wanted to write stories.
English novelist Justin Hill has turned those stories into a successful career, with his work twice nominated for the Man Booker Prize. His first awards and international acclaim came for The Drink and Dream Tea House, written after 7 years working as a volunteer aid worker on the Chinese mainland.
I was having quite amazing experiences living in small-town China, and the China I was living in seemed so different to the place I'd read about. And before I'd gone, I'd read all the books I could find. And there were only about 6 books then, and they were describing a completely different country. And I thought, well, someone has to write a story, write a book that shows the Chinese as being normal. And that was still there was still kind of the inscrutable, stereotypes. And so I didn't find the Chinese inscrutable, and I thought, well, let's put this into a book. I read a lot of genre fiction. I think a lot of literary writers could learn a lot by, kind of reading more genre. If you contrast the two, literary writers can write beautiful sentences and genre writers can write, page turners. And I've always thought, best books are the ones that combine those two. And so that's what I've always tried to do, is combine kind of really good writing, good characters, good story, good language into books that when you start reading them, you just want to keep going to the end.
After a stint back in England, Justin Hill moved to Hong Kong, where he's been working on a series of historical novels set in his homeland.
The Battle of Hastings is this great English epic story. It's one of the kind of great events of European, probably world history, where the French invade England and kind of change the course of European history. And it's been told to us by the Normans, who they seem the kind of neocons of the 11th century. And I thought, well, we should know what really happened. And so I started looking at the histories, and what probably happened is quite different to the kind of the story we're told now. It seems completely incongruous to be in Hong Kong. Thank God for Google Earth, because I was writing about places I'd never been to and had never visited. And Google Earth, you can kind of trace if your character's walking uphill or downhill, you can see the paths, you can see photographs of the landscape. So, Google Earth was fantastic. But I think for me, as a writer, nostalgia is something that really kind of sparks stories for me. What makes us want to tell stories? For all writers, your first audience is yourself. If you're not excited to sit down in the morning and tell your story, then how can you expect your reader to be?
With works which also include poetry and translated into some 14 languages, the writer is also earning a reputation for his university teaching that's helping others discover the craft of storytelling.
And I don't think you can teach it, but you can put people in an environment where they learn, or they get to create and then analyze their own work. And so I look at the things I learned, when analyzing my own, because writing is really 2 skills. One is creating the work and then taking what you've written and looking at it and saying, what's the good stuff there and what's not the good, and what can I get rid of? The way we tell stories has changed, the way we absorb stories. At one point, you just sat around a fire or a candle and spent your evening kind of keeping warm and reading a book. Whereas now we take in our stories through podcasts, through video feeds, through YouTube, through television. And I think that's really changed the way writers tell stories.
Aspiring writers will have a chance to hear that advice firsthand at the Hong Kong Book Fair, where the author will host a storytelling workshop.
If you had any kind of book fair anywhere else in the world, we had this many people coming in and looking at books and interested in books, it would be kind of world news. And I think Hong Kong Book Fair is extraordinary. I live next to, kind of local family, and I met the mother last year. I would come back from a talk, and she came back with a kind of suitcase. She'd brought a suitcase full of books. This is fantastic, that people just are interested in stories, interested in writing. Books have meant a lot to me and still do, and very kind of, life-changing for me. And the thought that, these books can be life-changing for other people, and that young readers in Hong Kong are excited about stories. Stories are universal. It's kind of human culture. We have humans like art. We kind of uniquely have music, art, storytelling, and storytelling serves a huge kind of function in human society, in our lives as well.